Greetings, everyone. So nice to see you all here. You are here for our session with Royeka Rahman from, I'm not sure.
East Tele College.
LA College. I was going to say El Camino and I knew it wasn't right. And it is culturally responsive teaching, competencies, and practices for early childhood educators. And I'm really seeing a lot of interest in early childhood ed, which really fills my heart because that's really so important. So again, welcome. And I am going to, in just a moment, turn it over to Royeka and she will take over. You should be able to see the screen. Someone give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you can see the screen and we will get started. And stay tuned at the end. There's going to be a link for you to fill out a reflection and you get entered into our drawing. So welcome everyone. Did we get a thumbs up that we can see the screen? A couple more people coming in. Maybe somebody put it in the chat. All right. Well, take it away, Royeka. Thank you so much.
Hey, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. It is nice to see you. I know it's been busy and today is the last day for Teach for LA conference. So I'm really excited to see. Also, I'm excited. I saw some of my students joining. So welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. So let's wait maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, kind of give other attendees a chance to join. So if you can put it in the chat, if you look at my slide, would you rather drink tea or coffee? So since you are waiting, you can kind of put that in your chat in the chat box. And also, there's an announcement. I'm going to present a second workshop at 3 p.m. today. So the title is Look What I Built, How to Incorporate the Block Play in the STEAM Education for Young Children. So if you can, feel free to join for 3 o'clock session as well. So hope to see some of you. Hi, Cecilia.
Hello.
Okay, so let me move this from here. I'm not sure you can see me. Okay, so I'm going to start. There's somebody else. Let's see.
For anybody interested, I'm going to go ahead and drop the chat for the 3 o'clock one drop the link in the chat right now. So
that would be nice.
You can have it right on your queue. And that's wonderful. I love promoting it. We have a great group here. So please join us for the other one.
Okay, so let me see the chat box. Drink coffee, Kitty, you enjoy tea too. Julia, Tony said, prefer coffee in the morning and tea in the afternoon. That's wonderful. Okay, so it is, just gonna wait a few more seconds to get started. Let's see, I have Monica Juliana. She said, or drink tea, relaxing, and also coffee during the day. That is awesome. Thank you again. Thank you again, and good afternoon. I'm going to kind of move to my check-in. Just quickly, you can just type a number in the chat box. How are you feeling today? In the chat box, you can enter the number of the emoji that best represent or fits with you and how you're feeling right now. So just quickly, I just want you to be active, and hopefully this presentation will be kind of give you a time to talk or also use your chat box and share your ideas, and also share anything. Okay, be comfortable sharing. So please, share how are you feeling today using the number. Okay, I see 1, I see 4, I see 2. Okay, excellent. Just to check in, we are child development, so we wanted to check in the feelings and emotions. So that's really important for us. So now I'm going to officially begin. Hello, everyone. Those of you who do know me, welcome and thank you so much for joining. And my name is Rokia Rahman, and I am a full-time faculty and also a vice chair at the Department of Child, Family, and Education Studies at Los Angeles, East Los Angeles College, Community College. I work in this field actually more than 15 years. I started my journey as a TA, and then teacher, site supervisor, instructional coach. I completed my bachelor and master's in Bangladesh, and also when I came here, I completed my second master's here from CSUN, and also right now I'm working on my doctoral degree in ECE at Pacific Oaks College, and I'm really excited. So I am actually part of their first cohort. Those of you interested. And I do present different workshops in different platforms, especially for my students and faculty member at ELAC. I'm a part of professional development department as well. And also I do present some uh, parenting workshops in my local community. So I'm kind of like involved in my community as well. So it's really nice to see. I presented 2 workshops before for Teach for LA. So I'm really excited to be part of it this time. This is my kind of agenda. I will, try to make it a little bit more interactive. So I'm going to share some objectives, a quick icebreaker. I wanted to listen your voice. And also I am going to focus on what is culturally responsive teaching, what are the competencies, and also practices. We do have a breakout session, so we can kind of brainstorm some of the practices that we can implement in our classroom as an ECE teacher and also students and educator. And also if you have any question and answer, I will definitely answer your question. I'm going to also share I'm going to share a nice resource for you too, so you can utilize them as well. So this is learning objectives that we are going to focus on today. After the session, I hope that you will be able to define and explain what is culturally responsive teaching, identify 8 competencies, and also related practices, acknowledge the significance of culturally responsive teaching practices, brainstorm some of the practices and strategies, and also promote more interactive, collaborative, and culturally conscious learning activities, and also identify specific strategies to create and support culturally responsive teaching and learning in the ECE classroom. So these are some objectives we're going to touch base today. Now, I would love to hear your voice. If you wanted to unmute, you can unmute. If you don't want to talk, you can put it in the chat box. That's fine. So question for you, what does culturally responsive teaching mean to you? When we say culturally responsiveness or culturally responsive teaching, what does it tell you? What do you understand, or what's something that come to your mind? You can write down a word, for example, inclusiveness, or respecting cultures. So anything that it comes to your mind, you can actually put it in the chat box if you want. Or if you wanted to share, anyone would like to share what is culturally responsive teaching to you. If you wanted to share, feel free to unmute and share.
Yeah, I'll be happy to share. To me, it means being aware of the different cultural backgrounds and then viewing those cultural backgrounds as an asset so you can continue to build on them and strengthen them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Tony. Anyone else would like to share something? Absolutely, being aware of differences, cultural differences, because all of us actually came to our classroom as a teacher or student or colleague or administrator. We do have our cultural context that we're bringing in, right? So being acknowledged that differences, and also understanding and being responsive to those differences is also is huge meaning to that. Anybody else wanted to share something? Let me move this right here. Hold on. Just okay, here we go. Okay, so before we actually go into the discussion of what is culturally responsive teaching, I wanted to share a 2 minutes video. That's kind of, I know it's a little bit of buzzword. I don't know if you're familiar with culturally responsive pedagogy or culturally responsive teaching. I wasn't aware of it when I was a student, and also when I used to teach young children as a preschool teacher assistant. However, I actually come across learning about this a few years ago, and I got really interested. However, I'm still learning, so I think let's kind of see what is exactly mean when we say culturally responsive teaching. So I want you to watch this video, and then we'll go into a little bit deeper discussion and definition.
Student community is made up of all types of learners. Culturally responsive teaching is capitalizing on all that students bring into the classroom from their personal lives and their own lives, and respecting that and using that to create classrooms that are powerful and meaningful.
You need to know who your students are, their backgrounds, their interests, their families. And using that is going to be your number one tool in driving your instruction. That's how you make it relevant to them. That's how you make it exciting for them, because they see themselves in the text. They see themselves in the examples.
My cultural heritage was largely absent from my school experience, and I don't want students to go through that. I want them to be able to explore the richness of their identity and the identity of their neighbors.
This made Grace sad for two reasons. She didn't like Natalie, and she didn't have a daddy of her own. She couldn't imagine me.
Thanks a lot for that, Carlos. That means a lot.
Why don't you come up first?
I would like to dedicate this class to my grandpa. He's an immigrant and he knew very little English.
Any school should and can know who their students are and what they bring in the classroom with them, and use that to strengthen their teaching and their support of those students.
Okay, so thank you for watching that video. I think it's kind of give you a little bit of heads up what is culturally responsive teaching look like. So let me see if I have something in the chat box. Okay, I am going to read. Okay, what does culturally responsive teaching is said? Juliana said respecting culture. Cecilia said different students. Julia said respecting the family of one child cultural background, making sure the culture of the child is being included and respected inside the classroom, and respect when their views and values are in the same as most children. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, absolutely. You actually hitting some of the key terms that actually included in the culturally responsive teaching. So I actually wanted to share one definition from Geneva Gay. Geneva Gay, she is one of the pioneer of culturally responsive teaching. She's a professor of education at the University of Washington, Seattle. She's also the recipient of several awards, including the first Multicultural Education Award presented by the National Association of Multicultural Education. I do have our books with me, actually. So I wanted to read. She said beautifully, she defined beautifully, and also she talked about the qualities the attributes of culturally responsive teaching. I wanted to share briefly that with you today. So she said culturally responsive teaching can be defined as using the cultural knowledge, prior experiences, frame of references, and performance style of ethnically diverse students to make learning relevant to and effective for them. So this definition actually gave us, especially for ECE educator, gave us an idea how we can actually use cultural knowledge, prior experiences, different types of learning styles, and also how we can actually integrate all of these experiences and values and cultural rituals and values, including our learning experiences, so they can actually make connection with, right? So it could be relevant to them, to the diverse group of children. As you know that in the United States, where actually it's rapid increasing of students from diverse background and ethnicity, it's kind of, it's obvious for educator needs to be more vigilant and more provide education and learning experience that relevant to their personal experience. So I wanted to share a few attributes that Geneva Gay mentioned, but before going into that, I also wanted to share a few more definition. So Steinbridge, she also wrote a book about culturally responsive teaching and also share some of the framework. So she mentioned that culturally responsive pedagogy requires that we regularly consider how our values, our bias, our strengths, and limitations can potentially affect our effectiveness with students from diverse backgrounds. So as educators, we need to be really vigilant and really reflective on how our own personal values, our cultures, our strengths, our limitations impact our students when working with diverse uh, children in our classroom. So that's also, it kind of gave us a framework or principles. And also, Jenny Muniz, another pioneer, I'm going to actually use her reference a lot. So Jenny Muniz, she is one of the policy analysts for culturally responsive teaching. And also, she's also analyst for policies and practices that impact English learner in the classroom. So her definition is culturally responsive teaching involves connecting academics to students' daily lives, cultural backgrounds, and concerns in ways that support engagement, achievement, and empowerment. So she emphasizes on student engagement, achievement, and empowerment through the academics, the curriculum, the activities actually connected with students' daily life and cultural background. So that can kind of help them to boost up their confidence and also support their success. So that's her. So now Geneva Gay actually talked about qualitative attributes of CRT. So she mentioned that wonderfully. She actually talked about quite a few qualitative attributes of CRT. First of all, she said culturally responsive teaching is validating. That means it validates individuals, their culture and heritage. And also it is comprehensive and inclusive. That means it's actually include everybody and also emphasize on whole child. And she said culturally responsive teaching is multidimensional. That means it actually includes the curriculum content, learning context, classroom environment, student-teacher interaction, engagement, empowerment, assessment, instructional styles, everything, right? And also it is empowering. It's empower students and also boost their self-esteem and provide them with support so they can be successful. It is transformative. It's actually provide high quality instructions, and also it is give them freedom and also give them a way they actually find their knowledge as a tools for success. CRT also is humanistic and it is normative and ethical. So these are some of the attributes that she mentioned in her book. I actually have a reference towards the end about her book, and also she does have few books on culturally responsive teachings. So now, if we think about its significance, why do we need to think about culturally responsive teaching? Why do we need to implement and practice culturally responsiveness in the classroom? If I ask you that question, you can feel free to actually share your view in the chat box. That would be awesome. Also, if you wanted to share, unmute yourself and you can actually share your view. So why this is important? Again, I wanted to mention that a little background. Few years ago, especially during the pandemic, I actually had I was being introduced to this concept about culturally responsive teaching. Before, when I was a student like you, I did not know about it, right? So it was a long time ago, about more than 20 years ago, so I didn't know. And then with the many people like in my age, when they came to a new country, new environment, they have very negative experience because they don't know, there's nobody actually understand them. They feel like isolated, does not know how to speak English, and does not know how to express their needs and wants in the classroom, being isolated, being sad and being bullied, and also being teased because they don't know English, or maybe they don't know certain practices in the classroom, or they don't feel interested because the story that teacher is reading, it doesn't resonate their lives. It doesn't represent who they are, right? So that could be case. So that's why culturally responsive teaching practices actually include everything: anti-bias, education, multiculturalism. It includes equity, diversity, inclusion, everything. So it's actually a bigger picture, which actually all the other concept that actually we have been learning about it, we have been emphasizing in ECE. It's under the umbrella of culturally responsive teaching. So it's actually amazing, like if we know. And again, I wanted to share that it is not a one-day thing to implement it or creates our classroom, creates our school as a culturally responsive. It takes time, but it takes some steps to move forward, and also, utilize one principles at a time. So that kind of help us to create our classroom, create our school environment culturally responsive. So now I wanted to mention that culturally responsive teaching provide actually a foundation of teaching, which actually include every children and their authentic and appropriate social context. As you know, all of us as a human being, we actually have our own cultural context that we bring in: our language, our home culture, our religion, our beliefs, our personal values, our rituals, everything. Another thing we need to think that when we only say culture, it doesn't mean only the way we dress up, the food that we eat, or maybe like physical appearance. That's actually something a little like 20% at the surface, right? But underneath, our beliefs, our practices, our understanding, our perception, that also impacted. So our culture impacted our values and beliefs and our understanding, our attitudes, our philosophy, so that we don't see. So we need to, understand that, not only for us as an educator, also for children and also their parents as well. And it is needed to support their personal culture and values, and also validate students' identity. It is actually support parent partnerships and collaboration with them. And also it kind of helps, it is necessary because it helps both educators and children and families, their cultural intelligence, confidence, and also cross-cultural understanding. If I wanted to provide best for my students, I need to know them. And also I need to know myself as well. I need to know myself, I need to know them, so I can better understand, right? So that's why it is really, really important. So I I know that I don't want you to listen to me all the time. I wanted to give you a break. So I just wanted to ask you to look at these 8 competencies that I wanted to focus. This is also developed by Jenny Moniz. It's Jenny Moniz actually part of the New America organization. That organization actually had been researching and um, promote culturally responsive teaching. So they actually developed 8 competencies that I wanted to focus on. And as an educator, these competencies actually help me to understand better what is culturally responsive teaching. So I want you to focus on this, and then I'm going to give you some time to talk about it. So let's look at what are these, and then we're going to watch a video. Then we're going to actually work on that and find out some of the strategies based on these 8 competencies. So 8 competencies of culturally responsive teaching. Number 1 is reflect on one's cultural lens. I'm going to discuss a little bit more now. I just wanted to read the title of the competencies. Number 2 is recognize and redress bias in the system. Number 3, draw on students' culture to shape curriculum and instructions. Number 4, bring real world issues into the classroom. Number 5, model high expectations for all students. And number 6, promote respect for students' differences. Number 7, collaborate with families and local community. And number 8, communicate in linguistically and culturally responsive ways. So these are the 8 competencies we're going to focus on next several minutes. So before we move on to discussing each competencies, I want you to watch this video. This video actually created by New America, the organization who developed these 8 culturally responsive teaching competencies. So let's watch this video first.
Feel comfortable with my teachers now. I actually have someone special outside of home that can treat me like I've known them since I was little.
Several years ago, New America began researching and analyzing culturally responsive teaching practices and policies. Our vision was to help policymakers, educators, and education leaders foster an evidence-based approach to culturally responsive teaching. We developed 8 competencies along with a reflection guide.
And professional development this morning for the students. Right? So this is really more so for your aha moments, like your I wonders. So we're used to the I wonder, aha, I know this protocol. List them in your notebook. And the purpose is just so as educators, we can see what it's like to be a scholar here, and hopes that it brings something in us to be better educators for all of our scholars.
Beginning with self-reflection, teachers explore their own history, values, and experiences.
I think the biggest value is recognizing some of the biases that exist within me that I didn't realize were there. We were reading something and boy fell in love with girl, they lived happily ever after. And after going through this conversation, I had to stop and step back. And I realized there were 3 students in that room alone whose parents were in same-sex marriages. And I excluded, 3 of my babies without even realizing I was doing it.
Teachers then encourage students to draw on the background of their families and traditions to shape assignments and projects.
I want you to look at it from your point of view culturally. So look at it from where you're from, what your family looks like, your race, your ethnicity. Now, think about those same books. Do you feel like those books were picked out just for you?
Or do you feel like those books were just there?
I've seen myself in some of the books already, but not most of them.
To get to know my students beyond their personality, looking into where they come from, where they currently live, just diving into their background and their tradition, because when they come in school, we expect them to do things a certain way, behave a certain way. Looking beyond that, what do they normally do at home?
Creating a caring school community can improve students' academic performance and build a sense of belonging that transcends practices, policies, and norms that typically hold students back.
How does it feel when you go into a classroom and from class to class, year to year, you either have teachers that do look like you, or you have teachers that never look like you?
We have a very diverse staff. And so it forced us to have conversations about things that we would normally not have conversations about. And it has been a sense of vulnerability. We've been able to meet each other eye to eye and have heart to heart conversations. And it has really, really solidified the culture of our building.
Through rigorous and relevant projects, learners develop a sense of civic responsibility. Applying skills and lessons taught in the classroom, they begin to see themselves as agents of change.
We studied social justice poetry, so it had to address some social justice issue. I wanted them to find a poem that they connected with. And so once they found a poem, they illustrated it. And so I have a collection of some great artwork to share with you guys if you wanted. And then they had to do an oral performance of that poem. We got the final product that day, and it was just amazing because you could see the poetry like in their soul.
We recognize aligning standards to meet culturally responsive practices is not easy. This work requires thoughtful collaboration to foster relevant and effective experiences for the learners of today.
Can you tell when a teacher sees your culture in all of you, and can you tell when they don't? Do they treat you differently?
Yeah.
Okay, when you say, yeah, answer that fast. You can tell when they don't? Okay. What's your advice again?
My advice is to love on your students more because you never know what they go home to.
Influencing education influences opportunities.
When you can create safe spaces for our champions and safe spaces for our educators in the building to talk about windows and mirrors and reflect on experiences that lead to building stronger curriculum in the classroom, kids will see themselves in curriculum. Teachers will see themselves in curriculum. This is something that is in dire need throughout the United States.
I think you kind of see a little ideas about, they actually touch base some of the competencies, not all of them. So you kind of have idea how we can implement some of the competencies and practice some of the competencies in the classroom, in our classroom. So now I actually wanted to give you some of the example of discussion, and then we're going to kind of discuss. And also I am encouraging everyone to feel free to participate, and you can also share your ideas. So out of these 8 competencies, I really want, so I'm going to actually send you to a breakout room, not right now, in a few minutes. So in the breakout room, look at all these 8 competencies. I'll post it in the chat box. And think about it, which one do you feel competent that you are implementing? This one, or maybe something you think this is the most significant one? And then how are you going to implement that competency in the classroom, or competencies in the classroom? So I'm going to kind of share a few, and then we can discuss as a group. And also feel free to, you can put your question. If you have any question, you can put them in the chat box as well. So I know this is a little bit of, how I can say it's a little bit of rough topic, but it is very essential for educators and future educators. Those of you who are students right now, you are the future educators, is really important for you to comprehend and also think about it, how you can be a culturally responsive teacher in the future. So the competency number one, I really think this is very significant and very important one. It said reflect on own cultural lens. So if we think about our own personal experiences, our cultural background and values and everything, it would be helping us to understand children. And I think, as you know, the Brenton-Brenner bioecological model, I don't want to have a huge discussion about it. That's one of my favorite theory. So Brenton-Brenner bioecological theory, it says that all of us actually influenced by different system, and the culture, the norms and values is actually one of the significant one that it's shaped, influenced we as a person. So as a teacher, of course, we do have our own cultural lens. We have our own bias. We have our own beliefs. So we need to be reflective on our personal experience so we can, and also think about it, how my personal beliefs and values and bias impact my students who is actually I'm working with, or I will be working with, right? So that's why some of the strategy we need to practice, for example, self-evaluation is important. Reflect on my own biases and own prejudice. If I am biased towards a certain group, how am I teaching them, or how am I behaving with them, my attitudes towards those people, right? So we need to be really self-critical and check our own biases and make sure that our bias is not hurting others. Our prejudice, our beliefs is not hurting others. So that's important. So self-reflection and evaluation is one of the strategy that we need to implement as a teacher. Another practice we could do, understand how internalized biases can shape our interactions with students. I just mentioned that, and families, okay? So make sure that we understand that our biases can hurt, our biases can impact, and it could have a negative impact on the students and families that I'm serving. So again, very vigilant, and we need to do self-check all the time. And also another practice you could do, value the cultural context of others. Since I value my cultural context, make sure that I value others as well, because it's not only me bringing a cultural lens, is also other people has their own culture. So we need to see that in a cultural lens. So it kind of help us to understand people. And again, I'm not talking about only food, clothes, language. I'm also talking about their even family culture as well, okay? For example, if we wanted to talk about different types of food or art activity in the classroom, let's say art activity in the classroom, wanted to use some grains or rice or wheats or other food, there could be a student in my classroom whose family culture or family situation right now, they see those food as a valuable, something valuable for survival, that they are actually having a hard time to have it, right? So you need to respect that. So not only that, their family practice, their religious practice, their other beliefs needs to be respected as well. So you need to be very vigilant as an educator. Another one I wanted to share, and then I want you to actually give a chance to discuss. Competency number 3, this is also, I think, as an educator is really important. So basically it's a draw on students' culture to shape curriculum and instructions. That means create a bridge between students' culture, experience, and the new learning. So when you and me, when we see that the instructions or the books I'm reading or the assignments I'm doing in class, or maybe an activity, it could be science, math, the dramatic play, anything that's kind of related to who I am, that will actually more relevant to me, and I will acquire knowledge through that experience. It's going to be very effective. So that's why culturally responsive teacher actually create a bridge on students' new learning with their personal experiences. Let me give you an example. I remember being a Head Start teacher, we used to have actually lunch, and different times we had different menu, right? So I saw that most of my children were Spanish speaking, and also some of them coming from Mexico, Guatemala, and other Central America. So when we used to have food that they can relate to, oh my gosh, we had a blast that day. For example, I remember definitely having a pozole for lunch. Kids love it because they actually, that's one of the comfort food at home, or tamale or something. And then when we have like other food, for example, oatmeals, nobody wants to eat, because that's not something that they used to it. So having something simple as food, if they can make a connection with, that very meaningful for them. So some of the teaching practices we can do, create a curriculum that reflects the culture in the classroom. You can either book readings, language and literacy, math activities, social studies, going to a field trip, go to walking field trip to the market so they can see a variety of foods they're familiar with, right? So anything they actually is reflective of the culture in the classroom, that's basically more meaningful to them. Use variety of materials and modalities because we have to think about their personal learning experiences, right? So we can use different types of materials, different types of modalities, having a song, having a book, having a story, puppet show, music and movement, going outdoor, walking field trip. So if we use a lots of different modality, teacher can actually catch the different learning styles, like the children who has actually different learning styles and experience as well. And then introduce to other culture, other groups' history, tradition, and experience, because children, when they come in, they have their own individual identity as an individual, and so they have group identity. So for them to help them understand that people actually has a different types of history, different types of tradition, different types of experience. So that was important, like open that window so they can learn about other people, other culture as well. Okay, so that's actually one of the competence we can follow up with. Now, I really wanted to give you some time, so I'm going to skip that competence. We'll come back and discuss after the breakout session. So I have, let me just stop sharing. So again, so I do have about 18, including myself. So anyone can share. Meanwhile, I can actually create a breakout session right now. So in the breakout room, I'm going to give you maybe like about 3 people, 4 people in a breakout room, so you can share which competencies you feel more comfortable with, like you feel like this is really significant, and how you can include that competency in the classroom. First of all, let me actually share this competency. Maybe let me make a copy of this competency and put it in the chat. These are the competencies, and I really wanted to hear your voice. And I want to put all the 8 competencies, and I want you to discuss as a group which one you feel more significant, and also how you can, what are some strategies you can use to implement. Sorry. So these are the 8. Okay, so let me create breakout rooms. Am I a host? Okay. European students culture. Right. Yeah. So I wanted to give you maybe about 10 minutes to discuss. I'm going to create 5 groups. Okay, let me create less, 4 groups. Okay. And then I wanted to give you option for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you 30 minutes for each group. And also, again, in the group, make sure that you discuss which one I can actually share. Again, if you don't see the chat box, let me know. So I will go to different rooms and also join. And also, I'm going to kind of share again if you need to, okay? Time check here. Yes, I'm checking. Yes, I'm good. So 10 minutes. Let me open it. Please join. Oh, I said manually. Okay. What happened? Okay, sorry. Let me do it again. People joined. Option. Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay. Please join the room.
Are they all assigned a room now?
I think so. I make it manual, like automatic.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you're having trouble, we
Yeah.
can manually do it. As soon as you get the prompt, go ahead and pop into a room.
How do I enter the breakout room?
There should be a little like a sign. It's kind of like a window sign. If you
Okay.
don't see it, if it's not pop up your screen, you can kind of look at the bottom there.
I think I found it.
Okay. Yes, almost everyone went. Room 3 doesn't have anyone. Let's see. Sorry, I think. Room 4. Wow, a lot of people still in not room. What happened? Sorry.
Do you want me to help put them in, or you got it?
Yeah, if you can put them in. I know some people they don't join yet. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go.
Or
Okay. And there's a Cecilia. She could be assigned. Okay.
and then you and me, we don't need to assign. And Guadalupe. That looks like everybody's in now.
Okay. Sorry. Oh my goodness.
No problem. It can be challenging when you're facilitating. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you
and
so
then
much.
do you know how to bring them back?
Yes, it's kind of automatic. They can come back.
Yeah, it should. If you put a timer on there, it'll pop
Yeah,
them out.
I
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the room and check if
Sounds
they.
great. Thanks. I'll be in here in case things happen.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
You're on mute.
Just like I do with you for your bullshit.
Rukia, you're on mute.
Hello?
Okay, thank you everyone for coming back. I know it's difficult for breakout room. Sometimes people actually leave the meeting because there's it could happen. But anyway, let me go back to bring my slide. Okay, to the close. Yes. What time? I know it's at 1:15 or 1:10, so we're going to finish up really quick. So I just want to know, is anyone wanted to share which competence that you feel more significant? Briefly, maybe for a few seconds, just, share which one do you feel more significant and how we can implement that competencies or practices in the classroom. Anyone? Meanwhile, I'm going to share my screen. What did you discuss in the group? Anything that you discussed you wanted to share with me?
Hello?
Yes.
How would you say number 7?
Number 7. Number 7.
Yeah.
What is number
Yeah. Collaborate with the word.
Mhm.
Collaborate with family
And the community?
yeah.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Anyone else wanted to share which one you feel is more important?
Not the first one.
Okay, the first one. Why do you think so? You wanna, or how you can actually use that competency in the classroom to increase culturally sensitiveness?
I think it's important because, as you were mentioned, as you mentioned earlier, we have to understand who we are and where do we come from, and that way, students will notice that, and that will, I think they will like feel that they can be themselves and they are encouraged to implement their ideas and their beliefs into the classroom.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing. Wonderful, wonderful. You said wonderfully. Let me see. There's something in the chat box. Okay. Okay, thank you, Ruth. I'm going to share the link with them. No problem.
Yeah, feel
So-
free to do it at the
Yes,
end.
yes.
I need to jump off now, so you're
Yes,
host.
sure.
You're all
Yes.
set.
Yes, I will. Thank you. So before we actually finishing up our session, I wanted to share 2 more competency for you to think about it. Number 5 competencies, model high expectation for all students. So basically educators, all of us, even as an instructor for a community college, we should believe that all students are capable to be successful, to actually achieve high level of success with proper support and proper resources and proper assistance, right? So that also competency number 5. So some of the strategy we can use for children, that we can identify students' strength and their needs, and also we can create individualized education plan for each child differently, separately, based on their strength and needs, okay? Offer differentiated instructions. We have to actually use different types of modalities and break it down instructions into different way to present it and accommodate everybody and everybody's learning styles. So we can basically differentiate our instructions by changing it. Okay, so by changing it, by bringing some modification of your activities, so everybody, like all the children, being able to participate, and also focusing on especially children with special needs, so you can change your activity idea so they can be actually part of it. And also provide some resources for them, such as tutoring if they needed one-on-one mentoring, extra time, extra support, and maybe your plan needs to be inclusive, your activities needs to be inclusive, and also make sure that you provide a proper accommodation and modification, even equipments, right? Even some of students, they need a different types of equipments so they can be able to participate in activity and feel confident and feel successful. And also another one, this is the last one I wanted to share with you, because since this is a short session. Competency number 6 also talked about promote respect for student differences. As you know, we all are different, and also we're coming from different background, and also our personalities are different, belief systems are different. So educators who are culturally responsive, they actually foster learning environment that are welcoming, inclusive, and affirming. So that means acknowledge everybody, welcome everyone so they can feel comfortable, they can feel welcoming, they can feel like I belongs to this classroom, right? What are some practice we could do? We could redesign our classroom environment. We can maybe bring more anti-bias and multicultural materials in the classroom. We can provide books that celebrate diversity, inclusion, and differences, books about children with special needs, materials and equipments about children with special needs, about diverse cultures, teach and model empathy towards everyone. Empathy is also one of the foundation skills for social emotional development. So teach and model empathy. If you show and teach empathy by modeling, they will learn. And also present all families and children in the classroom. So anybody that you have, it should be reflective in your lessons, in your environment, in your aesthetic in the classroom. It should reflect all the children that you have. So let me see the time. I wanted to give you some time for survey. So before I am done, I just wanted to share a few things for culturally responsive teaching ideas in the classroom as a future teacher and also teacher right now, educator. Think about inclusive activities when you plan as a teacher, anti-bias curriculum, multiculturalism, positive and respectful school environment. So it can start with me, with us, right? As a teacher, if we change, then we can bring changes. So we need to change ourselves first. We need to identify our own biases, own prejudice, own limitations. Then we can actually help and support others. So make sure that change coming from us. Advocacy actually start within us. High support for all children, and also emphasize social justice through your curriculum, through your instructions, through your interactions with other people. So these are important for culturally responsive teaching. So you can share, and could be in the chat box, what practice that you do in your classroom, or you wanted to bring, or you wanted to adapt in your classroom. So by the time I'm sharing some resources and also the survey, feel free to share at least one practice that you do and you think this is a culturally sensitive, responsive practice, or you want to do it in the classroom. Okay, so here's the references. And also let me look at the chat. Let me share the, hold on, let me share the link. So please feel free to complete the link. This is for survey right here. So again, I actually share the link in the chat box. So please, feel free to click on the link, and then you can actually share your evaluation. So these are the references that I use. And also, if you have any question or anything, again, thank you so much. We do have few minutes left, but I want you to take your time before you log off. Please complete your survey. If you have any suggestion, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm here for a few more minutes. Any questions so far? Any question? No question, everyone? And also, I wanted to share, I actually shared a infographic that I created on this topic. So if you guys asked for PowerPoint presentation and also the infographic, CTR infographic, let them know so they can actually send it, email it to you. Let me see. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Los Angeles.
Sorry?
No.
Okay, and also this is my email. If you wanted to have this PowerPoint presentation and also the CTR resource infographic, you can also email it to me. I can personally send it back to you, the resources that I have. And again, feel free to complete your survey before you jump into the other session. And also, I have a session at 3 p.m. It's called Look What I Built. It's actually block play and woodworking into the STEAM education for young children. So that's more interactive and fun. So make sure you join again with me at 3 p.m. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Don't forget to complete the survey, because that survey will actually put you in a raffle draw. I think they do have a draw for prizes, so you could be part of that draw. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Julia, Catherine, Claudia, and everyone. Juliana and everyone. Thank you so much. So Nicole, should I log out? I'm going to stay here. If you have any question, we do have like few more minutes. If you have any question, even though question related to anything like other presentations or any other. Hey, Cecilia. Okay, Cecilia, you can log off and then go to the flip books again. And for 3 o'clock workshop, there's a little link in this, like a corner.
Okay.
You can click there, so it can actually take you to my next workshop. But my next workshop at 3 o'clock. It's called.
Okay, I think I did it.
You did.
Already.
You registered already?
Yeah.
Look what I built.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Did you complete the survey? Juliana, Vanessa, Julia, make sure that you complete the survey before you log off. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Nicole, for your support.